Hey guys, welcome back to Magic TV. My name's Craig. It is 9 o'clock on a Sunday. It's time for a review show special, and today I'm going to be talking about Everything by Jamie Allan. Now, this is a book that I've had a while, and it's taken me a while to get to a point where I feel I can do a review. You know, sometimes people say to me on this channel, why don't I review more books? It's because I believe that if I'm reviewing a book, I can't just pay it lip service. I can't flick through it and then just make a decision that I'm saying this book is good or this book is not that good. I have to really read it and understand where it is that the author's coming from. And this has taken a long time to read. I got this at Blackpool 2023, and I've been reading it ever since. I'm now in a position where I feel I can actually give it a review. But this is a book by Jamie Allan. Now, if you don't know who Jamie Allan is, he is one of the most successful magicians and illusionists in the world, as far as I'm concerned. I did an interview with him on Magic TV a little while ago. You can go and check that interview out. It's a fascinating interview. He has pioneered through the years many different concepts, such as he was one of the first people to really focus on doing close-up magic on stage by projecting it up onto a screen, and through Russ Stevens' production company RSVP, he released a project that actually covered a lot of that style of performance. But above and beyond that, everything that he's done with iMagician and the illusions that he's created, he really is an absolute legend in this industry. Now, this book, as it says here, I'm Jamie and this is my book, Everything. It earns that title because it touches on everything I know about this business. It's not for everyone, but it's for people that are interested in taking their magic to a wider audience. For close-up workers, it'll show you how to take your magic to the stage for thousands. For stage workers, I'll describe stage illusions on an epic scale. And if you're not remotely interested in the physical details of making cars, motorbikes and helicopters appear and disappear, or learning the secrets to the bullet catch that fooled everyone, then there are more practical stage illusions included for you. Even if you hate illusions and you want to improve your show via direction or production value, the information's in here. There's also a lot more information as well beyond all of that on business and performance. It's absolutely incredible. It kind of comes across as a bit of an autobiography because Jamie talks about his life and he talks about getting into magic and how that actually happened, and he talks about every single facet of his life leading through to where he is right now and all the important points throughout that. But then he also talks about tricks. He talks about, he gives advice, he gives guidance. There's so much in there. Now, before I actually kind of tell you a little bit more about this book and review it, spoiler, it's going to get a great review. I wanted to play a bit of an interview. So I did an interview with Jamie specifically about this book, and I asked him a few questions about it, who the book is intended for, just to get Jamie's thoughts on this. So I'm going to play that interview with Jamie Allan, and then I'll bring it back into the studio and we'll give it a full review. So I am here, as promised, with the one and only Jamie Allan, the author of Everything. How you doing, Jamie?
I'm good, Craig. Hi.
Well, you know what? I'm so glad you can jump on with me. We're going to be talking about your book, Everything. I'm going to be doing a review in the studio in a few minutes, but I wanted to speak to you yourself, because obviously this book has been a labor of love for you.
It has.
This is something, and I want people to understand this because we've chatted about it. This book was never intended to make you a fortune.
Oh no,
it's not a money-making thing for you. Can you you talk about your reasonings behind Everything and why it came to be? If that's okay.
I finally thought I had a story to tell. I knew that I'd had my fair share of wins and losses in the business. So, I'd had some wins and I'd had some huge losses as well. And I always think you can learn more from that. And at the same time, I realized when I'd done Houdini the musical and when I had done iMagician and then Illusionarium in Toronto and Magic Immersive and my big immersive shows, which were, multi-million-dollar productions. When that came down, I really thought, wow, there's I want to put this all down on paper, everything that's happened to me and these stories, because I have learned a lot along the way, without meaning to. And I thought, God, this is useful. I should write it. And I just wanted to. And also I had some ideas for illusions and some of the things I'd created. So I put 13 big stage illusions, stage effects, 7 routines, the things that you can do on stage, and a lot of other information. I knew a bit about everything. I thought, well, I know a lot about stage holograms because I keep rigging these in different places, and this is something that seems to keep coming back. I consult for a lot of hologram technology, and I sort of knew about that. And I thought, well, there's really nothing on that subject, particularly pertaining to magic. And then staging and camera work and directing shows and how to market and sell tickets and pitfalls to avoid, and finding out who you are and how to differentiate yourself in the market. And I just realized that's when the title, I didn't start to write a book called Everything. I started writing things, and then I went, wow, this is kind of like a bit about everything. And it is. And I'll tell you a little factoid with it. I was saying to my graphic designer, Claire, who did all the copy check and actually did all the layout for the book. I said, I just need to, I'm just worried that it's not going to be long enough, like that I've written enough. I said, I just really I'm really hoping that it's going to get to 300 pages. And it was going to be originally like this kind of format size book. And it's 400, it's 450 pages.
Wow. It's massive. It really is.
And it's massive, and it weighs an absolute ton. And it's been a great thing, and it's been the pleasure of my life to do it. And no, I didn't. There's a million ways. If you're thinking about making money, writing books is not like the best use of your time. You have to want to do it, and I just wanted to write it down, because who on earth else is going to write a book about what I've done if not me?
Yeah, exactly. But I think that everybody who's watching this, if you want to really know what the book's about, I thought that the foreword by Daniel Summers was perfect and summed everything up. And I noticed that you actually had that you have that on the actual homepage for the website. But he wrote a point here. It's for people that want to take their magic to a wider audience. For close-up workers, it'll show you how to take your magic to stage for thousands, and for stage workers, it'll describe stage illusions on an epic scale. Like, would you say this is the primary audience is a magician who's very ambitious, like you?
I would say so. People see that there's an appearing helicopter and a motorbike and a car production in there. That's not its target audience. Those are fascinating reads for anybody that's interested in magic. 95% of the illusionists that buy it will not build those things. It's really just a peep into that world. If you wanted to build an appearing helicopter, you could, from the information I give you in here, but that's not who it's aimed at. It is aimed at anybody that is interested in taking their magic further. It's interested anybody that's ever thought about selling a ticket to a show, anybody who is wanting to make the change from just close up to stage, anybody that's a stage performer that's wanting to get to reach a wider audience. And as I say, or if they've ever been interested in actually the real work of what it takes to rent out a venue and sell the tickets for it, then the book is for them. And yes, there's magic in it, and there's some really solid magic in there. But I put the magic in there because I knew people wanted to read about that kind of thing. We're magicians, hey? But really, that wasn't the passion for me writing the book. The passion for me was to write about how the real stuff works, not the tricks. How putting on a show works.
And you've been very honest in there as well. You've talked about how you've made lots of money, but you've talked about the mistakes that you made, and you've lost money on this, and you've made money on this, which is a refreshing change. Because a lot of the time when I see books that have kind of a business aspect to them, they're very, almost egotistical. Like, look at what I did, look at what I did, look at what I did.
I had people reading it trying to check my words to say I don't want this to be self-congratulatory, because it's not. It's a journey. It's a real, it's been at times troubling, I would say, depressing. At times it's been great, unbelievable elation, and those have made it all worthwhile. And it's been an incredible journey, and I wouldn't change any of it. But it's there's a lot to be learned from that, and I tried to make sure it was really honest. I've read so many biographies, you say, of people that's just all trying to write a false narrative for the future. Look at like the memoirs of Robert Houdin. Like, is any of it true? How much of it is true? we don't know. But that was an inspiring book. Steve Jobs, because he wanted this to be really honest.
Mm.
Didn't want to have any influence over it. Wanted them to tell the actual story of what happened. And my book is not biographical. There is some elements of story at the start and end. There's an arc to it. I do hope people read the first and the last chapter, because there is something there. But it is, but there is a lot to be learned from the journey. And I tried to be as upfront, as you say, as honest as I possibly could be.
Yeah, and that comes across. And you talked about selling tickets, and you talked about, hey, and honestly, having read it, if anybody has any interest in touring a show, the information in there is so valuable. But you've also talked about how, you've raised finance for shows, and how you've actually, which again, I've never seen anyone talk about that. How you actually managed to create the money to make a multi-million dollar show, which I found fascinating.
Yeah, well, once you start, you get down it. It seems unfathomable to me. If I'd have met me 10 years ago and said at some point you're going to have to raise $4.5 million to put on a show, I would have just thought it's ridiculous. Like I can't possibly do that. And but it just sort of slowly over time, and I realized again nobody really writes about it, and I just thought it's useful. Hopefully there's something useful for everybody. I do think the book's too cheap, but I want to sell some.
It is.
I do. I think that the information inside is really, really valuable. But I mean, I wrote it mainly so that I'm kind of doing my thing now. It's not me giving this, me telling people this information is not going to affect me. Well, maybe it will. Maybe it will. Maybe in 6-7 years I'll be overtaken. I will start losing gigs to somebody that says, "Hey, we bought your book." Maybe.
I very much doubt it. But what made you decide to go for the title "Everything"? Is it because literally you talk about everything? It's not one.
It is. It's not everything. It's a bit about everything that I know. If I were to try and work out what it is that I do and how I've done it, then all of those lines that all lead back to me on some level, from ticketing, marketing, the magic, the content, the direction, the stuff, everything that makes up a show or makes up a business. That's what the book is about. It's if you could read the book cover to cover, even if you skipped over the illusion sections, but even the illusions, you'll look, if you read about the helicopter illusion, the chapter on the helicopter illusion, it tells you how to make a helicopter appear, but it's not about that. It's about my journey of what it took me to get that to appear, and what I learned and what I lost along the way. And there's lessons throughout, even hidden away in the things that you might not expect, which is why I say on the face of it, it might appear to be a book for the big stage illusionists, and sure, a lot of them have bought it. A lot of my heroes have bought it, and I've had lovely conversations. I got the most lovely email from Jim Steinmeier, one of my heroes. I was terrified when we were sending a book to him. I was just terrified. And he wrote me the loveliest email about it. And when Hans Klopp bought one, I was like, this is amazing.
I mean, that's incredible that you've got names like that are sitting there reading the book. I mean, that's amazing. Wow.
So yeah, it's been wonderful to get it out there, and I want the work to be out there. I do. It's not the money making exercise that people think it might be. It's incredibly expensive to print. We have to print in low quantities. We are not, I'm not a big publisher. We spared no expense, but everything is the best quality that we could afford with it. Everything is the best with it, and we just wanted it to be lasting, because it's the best place to hide your secrets, isn't it? It's put it in a book.
That's what they say. Exactly. And I'm glad we've had a chance to chat about this, because I've spoken to a couple of people and raved about the book. And a couple of people have said, "Oh, I'm not going to get it because I'm not into illusions. I'm not an illusionist. I have no desire to be an illusionist." And I think because your name has been so closely linked to illusion shows over the years, that people just think it's a bunch of blueprints for illusions. And really, I think that there's people are going to get more out of it if they're not an illusionist than if they are, because
they absolutely will.
Yeah.
They absolutely will. And I defy any magician to not find the blueprints for the illusions fascinating. and the way that they work.
Mm.
I think that everybody will get a kick out of these things regardless, because it's about the story and the journey of what it took to get it to pull it off. And I had a friend of mine wrote to me the other day saying, I've just read the chapter about Houdini the musical. He said, oh, it's absolutely gripping, like a thriller. It's like fantastic. You can feel the excitement of this. And I was worried for you, like reading the book. And you know, and you'll get a kick out of it, and you'll learn stuff. And yes, you're right. There are illusions in the book, because that's what I know as well. But it's not about that. If you like close-up magic, there's my wonderful routine. And my any card, any number is in there, which has fooled some great magicians, and with a regular deck, and also the my version of rollover aces, bold over aces, which is something I do, you know, in my own shows still, and a bunch of smaller stuff.
Which it's worth talking about, by the way, because obviously people can get that bold over aces. They can get that as a separate thing on your website as well. The website that we're going to talk about, where you can get everything. You also have in the shop a place where you can buy bold over aces as a separate thing. Is that right?
You can make the gimmicks up, or you could do it without the gimmicks. So there's a version of it there that it describes where you don't need the gimmicks, but I sell the gimmicks if they want those. I hopefully, I mean, maybe at some point I should look at getting those mass produced so that I can afford to sell them cheaply if there was some uptake on it and people showed interest. But right now we have to print them in low quantities. I basically printed them because I do it, and I'm offered for sale, you know, really at almost no markup what it cost me, you know, pretty much to get them.
Fantastic. Now the website that people can go and get this book is jamieallanbook.com. It's the easiest website in the world to remember.
You'd say that, Craig, but everybody tries to spell my name Allen, because that's the traditional spelling for Allen, and my surname is spelled Allan. I should really just buy both.
That would be a solution.
Yeah.
But you can get that, and obviously you tour all of the time. I know that you're rarely at home, but if people order that, you have a team that will have that shipped out to them.
We do, yes. It's shipped here from the UK, and it will be, and it's always there is people here that are doing it regardless of I'm here or not. So, you know, you don't have to worry if I'm not here, you'll still get yours.
Perfect. I wanted to say that because a lot of the time people are like, oh, you know, if I'm not buying through a magic shop, it might be months. No, Jamie's touring schedule is not going to affect when this book gets sent out. So
no, that's right.
And
we've got people. It's Claire. You know, Claire does it. She, our friend Claire, who does a lot of work for our business. She does all of the fulfillment of those things, and she would love to move some of these books out of her office.
Right. So there you go.
Yes.
By buying this book, you're having a great book, and you're also helping Claire.
You're also giving Claire some more space. Yeah. So that's a really great reason.
Absolutely. Jamie, thank you so much for jumping on this with me. I'm going to go back into the studio now and give it a full review. Spoiler, it's going to get a great review. It's a fantastic book, one of the best I've ever read.
Well, very kind, Craig. Thank you ever so much for taking the time to do it. It means a lot to me, and I hope that we get word out there for it, because, you know, it was a huge labor of love, but I would love people to have it. I really would, you know. And
you were there when I was at Magic Live, when I was on the Penguin booth with Nick, and Nick has an incredible stage show. Nick Locopo is one of the best stage performers I've ever seen. He's so charismatic. And if you remember, I came over and he'd never seen you before, and I was like, Nick, you have to get this book. And you showed it to him, and he just bought it there and then. And that's somebody who knows this subject very, very well. So, you know, it's everybody I've spoken to that have got that's got this book, they absolutely love it. It's pride of place on their in their magic library.
Well, it's an honor. It's an honor for that. You know, it really is. I don't just say that lightly. Like, when you write something like this, you put so much of yourself into it. It's very scary when you give that first copy over to somebody, and I'm closer to this than, you know, than I am so many of the things that I've done. You know, people could come to the show and say they hate it. I wouldn't care, but I you know, the book I care about. You know, it's so much of me.
Yeah,
and it's so honest. You'll see when you read it, and it's been overwhelming, the things that people have said. I mean, I must update the website with some of the lovely comments that we've had, but we've tried to put a good amount of reviews. If you go on the website, you'll see what people generally think of it.
Yeah, well, it's amazing. But Jamie, thank you very much. All the success in the future. I know you've got lots of things planned, so
Thank you once again.
Thank you very much, Craig.
So first of all, thank you very much for Jamie Allan. He is a busy person. He's probably one of the busiest magicians on the planet, and it's great that he found time to actually do that interview to talk more about the book. Now, this book, as he says himself, it's not for everybody, but it is incredible. If you are a professional in this industry, you really want to get this book, because Jamie is one of the most successful magicians of all time. And within this book, if you actually read through and take every word in, you will become a better magician. It's as simple as that. Now, I could spend ages talking to you about every single point, but like I said earlier, there's kind of 4 or 5 different types of content. The book kind of comes across a little bit autobiographical, and it talks about, his life from a child. There's a picture of Jamie as a kid. Whoop, there we go. There's a picture of Jamie as a child. There we go. Talking about, his childhood, how he got into magic, his first gig at the age of 15 at the NEC in Birmingham, where he was completely woefully underprepared for it, all the way through to a lot of, Houdini the musical, I Magician. So it's autobiographical in many ways. Lots of photos of Jamie performing as a kid, the sort of magic that he used to do there. He used fiber optics, card manipulation, that sort of stuff. The second type of thing that you see is there's illusions. He talks about the illusions that he's developed and created and used throughout his career. And you could, if you were an illusion builder, or you wanted to hire an illusion builder, you could probably put these together, I would imagine. There's, this is a perfect example, a smoke chamber. Now, I've actually used smoke chambers in the past, so I understood just how amazing this design is. The photos and the illustrations in here are brilliant, by the way. I love the book. It's a big book. I love the choice of the paper that he's gone for. I love the size of the book. It kind of gives it like a really important feel, which it should have. This is great. Helicopter productions, car productions, tons of different stuff. Then you've got, this is an example. Another thing that you actually get all of the time is you get advice on performance and advice on how to actually perform, advice on how to, how to make your performance the best it can be. And here's an example just here on page 65, some advice on performance. Turn yourself up to an 11. Leave your problems behind. You are the best version of you that exists. There's a lot of advice in there like that. But you know what? There's also an awful lot of magic that would work if you were a close-up magician. It's not just stage illusions. There are obviously a lot of stage illusions, but not just all stage illusions, because one thing Jamie did, as I said earlier, is when he developed the I Magician concept, he had the idea of taking close-up magic and putting it on stage. And he described some of those close-up tricks. And this one here, Bandit, is brilliant. So Bandit is basically, they name a card, they sign it, and you do a 4-phase ambitious card routine where a signed card, but here's the wrinkle, you put an elastic band around the deck. So there's an elastic band bound around the deck. You take the card, you put it in the middle, it comes to the top. So you lift up the card underneath the elastic band and you show it's the signed card. You do it again. And the final time, the signed card actually appears on the outside of the elastic band. All fully illustrated, very, very, very clever. Really nice elastic band routine called Twang, which is great. So look, I could go through a whole bunch of stuff. I will tell you right now, though, he has included in this book here, WTF. If you've got the book, go and check out page 115, WTF, because he talks about his version of the any card at any number plot. And he says here, the plot of any card at any number has fascinated me, as it has countless magicians. There's something so impossible and clean about it. WTF is my take on this effect that I've used on stage and in parlor settings to great success over the years. It's also one of the few tricks I personally perform that has fooled or partly fooled many notable magicians. My friend Michael J. Fitch showed the effect to the legendary Wayne Dobson, and after it fooled Wayne twice, he said, people have started religions with less than this. It's fucking brilliant. And it really is. In fact, I don't normally do this in a book review, but I'm actually going to perform this trick for you right now. So let's have a look at a performance of WTF. So I've got a deck of cards here, Jack.
Yep.
And there's 52 cards.
52 possibilities.
Absolutely. And that's important that you know there's 52 cards, because there's 52 positions in the deck of cards, right? Now, I'm going to have you name a position, but I'm going to have you do it at random. A lot of the time when I have somebody name a position in the deck, there's certain points in the deck that they gravitate towards, you know, for some reason, I don't know why. So we're going to do it at random.
Okay.
I'm going to have you hold up some fingers on both hands. So when I snap my fingers, you're going to hold up fingers on both hands. Now, it's up to you how many fingers that you hold up, but you're going to hold up some fingers on both hands.
Okay.
Now, let's say you held up a 1 here and a 3 here. I would then give you a choice, because 1 and 3 could be 13 or it could be 31. Do you understand what I mean? Yeah. So using this, you're going to get a completely random position in the deck. So when I snap my fingers, I want to hold up some fingers on both hands. Please do that now. Okay, so that, you've got a couple of options here. That could be 24 or it could be 42. What would you like it to be, 24 or 42?
24.
24, okay. You sure?
Yep.
Great, you can put your hands down now, you look a bit weird. As well as that, we're going to have you pick a card. So I want to imagine that I've got, you did all that in your imagination, so we'll take that one step further. Imagine you've got a deck of cards. And I want you to imagine that you quickly reach through and you take away, well, you don't take away, but you throw into the air either the picture cards or the number cards. In your imagination, which ones have you thrown into the air?
The number cards.
You've thrown the number cards. So what are you left holding in your hands?
The picture cards.
Okay, so you've got all the jacks, all the queens, and all the kings. What I want you to do now, you're going to make another decision. You've got the male picture cards and the female picture cards. What I want you to do is, out of all of those cards left in your hand, you're going to drop either the males or the females down onto the table. Do that right now. What are you dropping?
Queens. Females.
Okay, the females. So you've got all the queens right now. And you see them there in front of you. You've got all the queens. You've gone from an entire deck of cards down to 4 queens, right?
Yep.
Now what you do is you pick up 2 of those queens. And you either pick up the red queens or the black queens. Which ones are you picking up?
Black queens.
Great. And then that leaves you with one last choice, which is you've got hearts and diamonds left on the table. What I want you to do is pick one up and hand it to me. Which one have you handed to me?
The diamond.
Fantastic. So we are left with...
The heart.
Was that a free choice?
I'd say so.
Queen of Hearts. And what was the number you said again, the position?
24.
24. I want you to pick the deck up and I want you to deal 23 cards face down to the table, counting out loud as you go.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
I should say you're doing this very well.
Thank you. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20.
Really good, really good. Goosebumps, genuinely.
I've got pause to cough.
Don't worry, you cough.
21, 22, 23.
This one here is 24. Now think about this for a minute. You had a totally free choice. You could have named any card. And it's not like you just named a card, you eliminated right down to one card and one card only, which happened to be the Queen of Hearts. And then you decided which number you wanted, but you wanted 24. You made the decision. Even right at that point when you held up the fingers, you went back and forth between 42 and 24, you ended up on 24. That's the 24th card right there. And you went for the Queen of Hearts. And Jack, this is the Queen of Hearts. Okay, so that's a performance of WTF. That's a super, super, super fair any card at any number that has some very interesting points in it, and it works really, really well. And I'm a big fan of any card at any number, as you know, and I really appreciated what Jamie's done with this routine. Now, I don't want you to think this is a collection of tricks and it's your typical book of card tricks, because that's actually not the case. What we have here is, we have, as I say, advice on everything. If you want to become a better magician, this is the book that you get. But there are tricks in there as well, as you can see. So whether you're a close-up magician or a stage magician, you're going to get some tricks in there that you're really going to like. Look, I could go through every single part of this book. There was 2 parts, really, that I just want to reference very quickly. And the first is... Where is it? It was about 400 and something. Can't find it. There was No, can't find it. There's so much stuff. It's almost impossible to go through it. But it's got a whole chapter on visiting Mystique for the first time in 1994. And if you don't know, Mystique is the show that was put on by Russ Stevens. And I've talked about Russ Stevens many times on this channel. I think Russ is an absolute genius. And I went to watch Mystique many times as well, and I thought Mystique was an incredible show. And he tells a story about meeting Russ and how much of an inspiration Russ was on his career. And honestly, I think there's a lot of magicians in the UK that would say the same thing, that their inspiration getting into this industry was Russ Stevens. And it was really nice for Jamie to actually, talk about Russ in this. And it's an example of how the book is worded, which is very almost like conversational, like he's talking to a friend, if that kind of makes sense. The other section that I wanted to talk about was Don't Believe the Hype, which was really cool. And it's his take on his thoughts on social media, because obviously these days social media is very prevalent. A lot of people are doing performances on social media, and it's changed a lot. And it was very interesting to hear his thoughts on social media and his thoughts on hype. And he included a quote. And I'll tell you right now, actually, there's a lot of quotes in this book. And the quotes are incredible. Some of the quotes are as good as the content in the book. And one quote that I'd never heard before that I could really relate to when it came to hype. And if I can find it, I will. There you go. 415 coming on a minute. How to make a motorbike appear. That's not what we want. Great quote here. Create the hype, but don't ever believe it. Simon Cowell. And I'd never heard Simon Cowell say that before, but it's very true. Create the hype, don't ever believe it. Perfect advice, it really is. So let's just sum this up. What do we have here? We have a book, okay? We have an incredible book. Oh, I completely forgot about that. Yeah, there's another awesome card routine I should have told you about there. That's I keep forgetting stuff to tell you about, but there's so many amazing routines in this book. There really are. This one is bowled over aces. Great trick for a close-up performer. Jamie actually sells this on his website, but it was a routine that he put together to do after COVID finished. And it's an amazing card routine that you can probably win a competition with. But I digress. What do we have here? We have a book. We have a book that covers everything. There has never been a more apt title for a book than this book right now, Everything. If you are a professional and you want to take your magic to the next level, whatever that means to you, it might be get more gigs, it might be perform on stage, it might be performing at better gigs, bigger gigs, more higher paying gigs, whatever it is, this is the book you want to read. Because Jamie has been there, he's done that, he's bought the t-shirt, and he has a proven track record of being the best in the business. And he has now written all of this down in book form and given all of this information to you freely. You've got everything from illusion designs to how to perform on stage to all the decisions that he made in his life that have taken him to where he is in his career right now. You have everything laid out in front of you, and Jamie has been very honest throughout the whole of the book. He's not like sugarcoated it. It's not just gone through the good stuff. He goes through the good stuff, he goes through the bad stuff, he shares, even to the point sometimes of maybe even oversharing a little bit. But it's just so good. So it's one of the best magic books I've ever read. It's going to have pride of place on my shelf. I'm so glad I bought it, and I give it the highest recommendation. It's probably the best book I've written. I wish I'd written it. It's probably the best book I've read in the last few years. I'm going to give it 100%. It's highly recommended. Now, you can only get it directly from Jamie Allan. That's the only place that you can get it right now. So if you do want to pick this book up, then you've got to go to Jamie Allan's website and you can pick it up and you can ship it out to you. And trust me, when I say this, this book is worth its weight in gold and then some. So there you go. That's the review on Everything by Jamie Allan. It is highly recommend it. So there you go, guys. That's another video in the back. Do me a favor, let me know what you think in the comments down below. Now, you want to see more videos like this, like the video, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment down below. I'm going to be back again tomorrow with another video. So I'm going to be back again tomorrow with another video. I'm going to be back. If you haven't seen the Q&A, go check that out. I did a Q&A earlier this week. You can go look at that. And I'll see you again soon. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you again. My name's Craig from Magic TV.